Well, welcome to another episode of Read the Room, ladies and gentlemen. How are you two doing?
Fabulous. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I
You know
have a
me,
look. What about you, Rick?
I'm just living the dream out here in the deserts, fluctuating temperatures. It's all over the place. Yesterday it was snowing in Prescott. Today it's sunny. I don't know, man. This weather is out of control.
Sounds like Colorado weather.
Well, this has nothing to do with your microphone, but I'm actually having just a little hard time hearing because there's still some ringing in my ear from some old fucker screaming for an hour and 6 minutes last night. I don't know if you guys heard that, but I was like, wow.
Yeah, I went to sleep to it. So, Steph, how about you?
I realized it was going on and I said, not worth my time at this moment. I'll go watch replays and memes and see what the fuss is all about, you know?
Well, you can edit it down to 20 minutes. If you cut out all the seal claps, I created a drinking game last night. You have to drink every time Kamala Harris stands up to applause something that he says. Now, you'll
Right.
probably die from alcohol poisoning, but if you're looking to get drunk really fast, then that's the way to do it. Because boy, oh boy, she was up, down, up, down, up, down. They all are. I mean, it's just a giant chin wagging, seal clapping fest.
Well, I particularly liked it when he talked about getting rid of people that have been repeatedly thrown in jail for marijuana violations.
Oh yeah.
So, Kamala Harris, when she was the attorney general in California, put more black people in jail because of marijuana violations than she's ever breathed oxygen molecules. So, I particularly like that one. That was fun.
Yeah, the irony was pretty thick on that one.
Yeah, it was like pudding. So today's episode is about slam dunks, and that's slam dunks in sports, in life, in politics, in culture. We've got some subtopics that we can throw in there, but I kind of want to talk about that as well because I want to get from your perspective first, even before we dive into anything political, even though we just did. Um, what does a slam dunk mean to you when you hear the phrase, when you see it relative to something that you like or are involved in? Stephanie, because you're a lady, we're going to give you the floor. What's a
All
slam
right.
dunk really mean to you?
Slam dunk. Well, that is, it paints a picture in your mind. When you hear slam dunk, you know the execution, the footwork, the defense, the team that had to come together to keep players away from an individual shooting and getting a slam dunk and being able to nail that. And so I think of just like a slow motion picture of somebody slowly being able to get there and execute it seamlessly. And so whenever, I hear that expression, it's very like whatever happened, it was very methodically done and
Mm-hmm.
with ease. There was no like,
Okay,
choppiness, good technique. That's what I
cool.
think.
Rico, what about you, dude?
Well, I think of facials and not the kind that Bobo's used to, but I'm it's an easy 2 points. Um, it's an easy 2 points that's done very aggressively. It sends a message. It's not a layup, it's a slam dunk. You do it with style, you do it with strength. There's different variations of the dunk. But when it all comes down to it, it's me versus you, and I just put you on your ass.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a
I
dub.
mean, for me, politically, I'll answer that later, but for me, it's like watching Nelly Corda off the tees, right? It's going to be a smooth stroke. It's going to be beautiful. It's watching Adam Scott with his extended putter, boom, out 30 feet. It goes in. Rory off the tee. For me, it's if Brady was still playing, it's watching him put one in the corner, inside left shoulder, right shoulder out, boom, right? Yes, daughter of Peter Corda, Don Juan, you were right, and Jessica, her older sister, who is also a pro golfer. But it's something that when you see it, like listening to Jimmy Page play guitar, you know where it's going to take you, and it's absolutely done. Politically, it was like the Lake and Riley bill yesterday. Only 37 Democrats voted in favor of making sure that illegal aliens uh, would be detained and have a detainer put on them by ICE. 170 of them didn't. I mean, here's a young lady that was murdered by an illegal alien, and 170 Democrats gave her and her family the finger. So those kind of things politically are slam dunks for me. That's kind of where I fall, on that. I got a question for you, Rico, about slam dunks. Caitlin Clark, I want your analysis on her as a player, her as a star on a women's basketball team, and is she really uh, Pete Maravich quality, notwithstanding her record? Because I grew up with him, and he was just amazing to watch on the court, fluidity, style, etc. What's your take on that?
Well, please stop by calling her Pete Maravich or even putting her in the same sentence as Pete Maravich. That's
Right, right.
ridiculous. There's
And I
uh,
want you to go deep.
there's
I want you to go
about
balls deep
five
on this one.
NBA players that could be put in that category. So, in
Mm-hmm.
terms of her game, she's
John
strong. I
Stockman.
mean, obviously, she's strong as can be. She's a hell of a baller. In terms of branding, she's one of the top NIL sellers right now. So she's bringing in the bucks. She helped the Big Ten sell out their female tournament, which it was not known for its ticket sales. Um, so her breaking records, her doing her thing, yeah, she's got mad game. Props to her.
Cool. Steph, what do you think?
Well, I just think women's sports, in general are not as viewed. And so when you do see, someone that's, you know, making strides is pretty inspirational. So, I have a hard time comparing athletes, to, other individuals, but, for this era, like, let's go. Like, that's pretty inspirational and, that's good.
I
Who's
agree.
the Caitlin Clark of the MMA world?
uh, oh, I
And
think
is there
it's
more
Holly
than one?
Holm. I think it's Holly Holm. I just love Holly. She's pretty
Why?
inspirational. Well, she tapped out, or she, I think, knocked out Ronda Rousey. She was the next, number one after Ronda, and just all of her work that she's done. She's, advocate for, helping sex trafficking and helping
Mm-hmm.
facilitate, discussion on that, and she just has a good heart. So.
Yeah.
That's great.
She took out Ronda at the peak of Rondaism. Like Ronda was the star. She was one of
Yep.
the biggest female celebrities in the world, let alone female athletes. And Holly came in and ruined that story real quick because
What was that, about
Holly
6 years
put the
ago?
hurt on her.
No, that's way, way longer ago. That's not
Was it
6 years.
longer than that? Was it
Yes,
like 2015, 2014? When was
something.
Yeah,
that?
at least a
Yeah,
decade.
something like that.
Yeah, Ronda
Yeah.
Rousey hasn't been a last time I
Before
saw
that, probably
Ronda
like
Rousey was in the Entourage movie, and that
Well,
was
I
that's what I
want
was
to
going to
say
get
that was
at
like probably
is,
like 2012.
yeah, the Entourage movie came out in 2015 and she'd already gotten knocked on her ass. And I was like, oh, cool. And she's got a good agent. You know, at least
yeah.
she
She
got
went
into
from
this
champion
Steve
to
Mnuchin
dating
movie.
turtle.
What?
She went from world champion to getting a date with Turtle, so that star faded fairly fast. I think she had a run with WWE too. Um,
Yeah, she's on there as a character, and then she's also doing like video game stuff, and she has a farm.
yeah, she's paid. She's paid up. She did her thing. She was a great champion. Like Ronda
Mm-hmm.
was tight when she was going. It's just it got cut short because of your girl Holly.
Yeah,
And
Holly.
props to Holly for putting the end to it.
Yeah, I like
And
Holly.
so is Holly Holm. Is she still number one? Is she still the
I
Steffi
wouldn't say
Graf
she's
of
like number one.
MMA?
I wouldn't say she's like number one, but she's still in like the ring and she's still fighting. And she won the last her last one, I believe. It's hard to keep track of everyone, but she's still in the mix. And I hope one day to meet her in person.
That's outstanding. I love that. I love that. Slam dunks in life for you guys is what? What is that for you? Just day to day life. Whenever you think of it in your life, you know, I got that. What is that?
I'll go. It's called less government interference, more money in my pocket from less inflation. That's a slam dunk. Moving, I could keep going down this list here, but being able to freely just go about my day without any intrusion or nonsense at the border, that would be a slam dunk. Okay.
Rico?
Yeah, I would
Grumpy.
agree with some of what Steph said. Slam dunk in my day to day is, you know, an easy deal to close, easy job to do. That's a slam dunk to me. I don't see slam dunks too often because uh, I practice the mantra of anything good worth doing is difficult. So I don't see too many slam dunks in my day to day. I like to take on tasks that challenge me. So
I can relate, as can Mark, I guess.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Just a
Well,
little.
un- unfortunately, again, not to veer here too deeply, but I'm going to mention to you that sadly, that was a campaign speech last night. It was not a State of the Union speech, and it was also a giant middle finger to the Republican Party. So you will not see bipartisan ship in the next 8 months,
yeah,
but
that
you
was
will see more inflation, higher prices, et cetera, over the next 8 months. But they'll want you to not believe your lion eyes or your wallet. I'm just gonna leave it at that for right now.
Let's just create
Um,
an illusion and
right.
act like we are the good guys and you're the bad guys
Mm-hmm.
and this is all your fault. Let's point the finger.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's gonna happen.
Do you want to know
yeah,
how
that
they
could
create the
be
illusion? You guys want to know that?
Media, the
No,
media.
not just the media. So the jobs report came out today. 270,000 jobs in February, right? Right? 54,000 of those were in government. They had to revise downward, as I told you a month and a half ago they would. The January report, a month ago, that they would. They revised it down, you guys, 135,000 jobs from 330. And also hidden in that report today was the December revision downward of 110,000 jobs. And so government, that what's it's called filling the gap. So you can put that into a sports analogy, you can put that into a lots of analogy. They're going to fill the gap with the money they have set aside in the rescue plan and in the CHIPS Act, and just spend it on government and subsidies like the student loan thing, and tell you month over month for the next 8 months that it's all good. And then they're going to yank it out from underneath you after they win the election, if they do. That's what's going to happen. And it sucks. It
Well,
absolutely sucks.
that's no surprise there. And to Steph's point, that is why the media is the biggest spinner of these fables, these fairy tales, because keep in mind,
Yeah.
they're going to lie. They're politicians. That's what they do, that's their business. These guys love to tell stories. Love, love, love. Specifically in the Biden administration. I just had a Biden gaff. The Biden administration. I better take a mental competency test. If the media wasn't there, he'd be talking to a doorknob, or he'd be talking to the wall, or his dead grandpa, and nobody would
Yeah.
hear anything about it. So the media still touting his jobs reports from months and years. He likes to tout the record amount of jobs that he has created. Eh, wrong. I had to explain that to somebody
Mm-mm.
that 11 million of those were just people returning to the workplace. So it's
Mm-hmm.
more like 4 million. And if we dig deeper, I'm sure we
Yep.
could trim a few off that. So he did what he does. The irony, I mean, the beautiful irony of listening to Joe Biden lecture people about paying taxes is so sweet. It's so ironic.
No.
The
It's
guy's
paying their
son,
fair share, Rick.
yeah.
You
And
know what would be
people like, well, Hunter isn't him. Like, well, if he's taking quote unquote loans for $400,000, guess what he doesn't have to pay on those loans is taxes. So
And
is he
interest.
involved
Yeah.
in tax fraud? Of course he is.
Of course he is.
Well, you know what would be interesting is if you compare everything he says now to what he said, when he had first initially like got into office, and the contrast, because I'm sure there's a stark difference.
Oh, it's a 180-degree difference. It's unbelievable, some of the shit that came out of his mouth in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I mean, this
He
guy's
was a
been around
racist
since my
too.
wife was born.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
he had a
He came
problem with
into,
Clarence Thomas, right?
yeah, more or less.
More or less.
Because he didn't because Thomas was a Republican and he didn't toe the line of the Democrat Party, so they tried to eviscerate him. Fortunately, we had my old boss in there, George Herbert Walker Bush, that nominated him, and he had a lot more friends in the Senate than fucking Joe Biden and Ted Kennedy combined. But it was mostly numbnuts from Delaware because he was judiciary chairman at the time. And then he learned his lesson again when they tried to do gun control in '93. The result of that is they lost 54 seats in the House. 13 of those clients were mine. They lost 6 Senate seats, several governor seats, and hundreds of state legislative seats. And their decline just kept going all the way through Bush's second term. It was unfreaking believable. So let him go ahead and push that stuff. Um, what I was going to ask you though, Rick, is as you were explaining to whoever it was you were talking to, and I'll send you the report that you can see it as well. Only 35% of the 15 million new jobs, air quotes, were actually new jobs created in the last 38 months. The rest were jobs that came back from COVID. and about a third of that
Mm.
35% are part-time jobs. They're not full-time jobs. You can't sustain a living off of it. And so that third and some of that other middle third, they also have second jobs. And so my whole
So that's
point
not
to you
disclosed.
guys and to our audience is the economy is not growing. There is no growth in the economy. And because you have deficit spending and you have large deficits that exist, you're pushing back significantly against economic growth that subsequently can turn those part times into full times, et cetera, et cetera. And we aren't going to see that until we get rid of Joe Biden in 8 months. You just simply will not see it.
Gotta hold out.
And you said something in there that gets overlooked a lot of the time with the jobs reports, the part time jobs. And when these part timers get multiple part time jobs, that gets added into those job reports. So
Mm.
it's one person adding three new jobs because they have to work three part time jobs to pay their bills because we don't have a humming economy where people can have careers
No, they
in
don't.
the way that we
Mm-hmm.
used.
Yeah, and as I just texted to you, they don't report in the Bureau of Justice Statistics doesn't report those part times as jobs. It's like counting a census. You count all these individuals, but you also count non-citizens in there, right? You don't delineate. You just go, okay, this congressional district has 787,000 people in it. Well, 55,000 of them might be illegal aliens, but because they occupy an address or have some kind of
That's
service that
scary.
you can point to, yeah, it is. It's well, why do you
I
think
didn't
there's
realize
12
that.
million illegal aliens in the country?
Well, I think you're overblowing it a bit. I mean, I was watching MSNBC and they were laughing staunchly at you in Virginia specifically on how you could
Right.
possibly think that immigration policy could affect you in some way, shape, or form. I mean, to think that immigration could even be on your mind, Mark, is absurd.
And
That's satire.
we're right next door to West by God there, boy.
Yeah. I mean, those broads, unbelievable. Just listening to them go.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable, dude. Just Stephanie, tell me. First of all, West Virginia is about 6 miles from my house. First of all, so howdy, neighbor. What did you think about that, Stephanie? Because that's a good point, Rick, that you just brought up. What did you think about that, both as a woman, but also as an observer and someone who has her own point of view?
Right? Are you talking about that video?
Yeah, oh, yeah. The clip where these three bubble-headed MSNBC idiots are making fun of people, deplorables.
Oh, wow. I feel like there's nothing new under the sun, really, when it comes to just media in general. So, I,
It's nothing new.
there's
And
nothing new. It just
same stuff.
makes me, a
Distrust
little
them.
sad inside.
Distrust
Yeah,
them. I mean, that's why Trump brought that up in his speech that we need to get media back to
Oh,
the way
hey.
it was. You know, it was such an important part of America. He talks about the media being, it used to be the police, kind of, for this country
Hmm.
and keeping truth
mm-hmm.
and honesty. You know,
Yep.
journalism ethics used to matter. Investigative reporters, if you were a journalist
Had
and you were
integrity.
pro government, you were seen as a bad guy. Like you didn't mouth the talking points of a government. Like that was the number one rule for being a paid asset and not a real reporter. And now all of a sudden, it's become I'm just going to regurgitate what they tell me to say. And that's
Right.
on all sides. Don't get me wrong, but that's why
Oh
alternative
no,
media like No Filter Network, like Breitbart, like some of these other places that have
the
popped
No
up.
Filter Network.
No
No,
Filter Network.
no filter network.
Thank you, Steph. All these alternative media outlets, these podcasts, you know, they're getting more traction than they would have had the media done its job correctly from the jump.
Oh, 100%. Don Juan, how are you, brother? Good to
Oh,
see you,
pretty
man.
good. Just starting the day out here. It's about 8:30. So I have my usual Friday meeting with my superiors. So I just got that over and done with. I did not. I deliberately did not want to watch the speech last night because I thought I'd get too aggravated. I just get tired of it. I knew it was coming. The bar was exceptionally. The bar was so low. I mean, Joe Biden couldn't have tripped over it. So it didn't surprise me that he managed to stand up for about an hour and 15 minutes and not, just stumble over his words. But at the end of the day, it's the same old thing. But I will say one thing about the response, and that is in the media where they kept bringing up the fact that it was a partisan political speech. I'm shaking my head thinking, of course, that's what you're supposed to do. No shocker. That's what he's going to do. He's not going to stand up there and deliberately try to be balanced or, you know, or objective. He's gonna pursue and he's gonna pound the table with Democrat talking points.
Yep.
How
So
dare he be a good president? How dare he even try? It's
yeah, to me it's a competition, and I think for Republicans to do well this year as in any other year, you have to meet the competition, and you can't just expect Biden, as weakened as he is, to just hand it to you. You got to go out there and take it from him.
Yeah. So, Don, we're going to jump in the Wayback Machine for a second here, Rick and Stephanie. So, Don, how much of the environment we're in right now in an election year are you reminded of in 1980? How much does this remind you of that particular time?
Well, certainly, you can harken back to 1980 because you had a weakened Carter and an opponent, Ronald Reagan, who was viewed as kind of like a cowboy, trigger happy, and things like that. And ultimately, the voters decided, yeah, we're going to go with the tougher guy. We're going to go with the guy that at least sounds as if he's willing to confront our adversaries. But I also think I do kind of think in terms of 1969, particularly when I look at where the Democrats are and the
Okay.
wars that were involved in and everything else. And oh, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the Democrats had a convention in Chicago in '68. They're going to have another one here, another one this year. Um, I think that party is as fractured as it's ever been. And these,
It's going to
these
be a fucking war zone.
yeah. I mean, even last night there
God.
were pro-Palestinian protesters lining
Yeah.
the route for the Biden
That's why it
motorcade
was
to get to the Capitol.
late.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it was late.
So
100%. Anyway, you were saying.
oh yeah, I was just saying again. There are lots of things you can kind of point back to, um, but I will say this much, and I don't know if I offend anybody by saying so, but Donald Trump is not Ronald Reagan,
No.
and he's not Richard Nixon, but he is Donald Trump.
No.
And
Yes.
I think because I've had my back and forths about can I or can't I support him, but at the end of the day, uh, there are changes that need to be made in this country in terms of the direction that we're going
Mm-hmm.
in. And Trump is best positioned to make those changes come about. Simple as that. Don't have to like him. At times I really do. At other times I'm grimacing and shaking my head. But it's not that I oppose the Democrats as a Republican. I oppose what they
Mm-hmm.
do.
Mm-hmm.
As just a citizen who wants, just things to be somewhat normal. Somebody commits a crime, they should go to jail. Simple as that. Somebody wants to come into the country, they need to apply legally and go through the
Mm-hmm.
process. Anything other than that is chaos, and chaos is currently what we have. No matter what the Democrats
Mm-hmm.
say, and no matter how many times Joe Biden talks about that fraud of a bipartisan border bill. I mean, somebody explained to me Donald Trump, in 4 years in office, had maybe 2.5 million uh, illegals cross the border. In this bill,
3.2.
3.2. Okay. In
3.2.
this
That's it.
bill, we would effectively be codifying and allowing 2 to 2.5 million illegals per year. It's like how's that making any sense?
2.1 million per year.
Yeah.
So there's Jim Langford's face, you guys. That's the deer in the headlights from last night,
Yeah.
right? But Don, when you say when you think about Trump, it's an it's an oh God eye roll sometimes, comma, but thank God, right?
Yeah.
That he's
Pretty
there.
much.
That
I mean,
kind of thing. Got it.
he is the most confounding politician, with pluses and negatives that I've ever had to consider. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, and it's not that big of a reach to look back to 3-4 years ago and say, you know what, things are pretty good, and I'd like to be able to get back to
Yeah.
that as a baseline. And the only way we're going to get there, so we're not going to, the pure evidence of it last night, we're going to not get there by supporting and reelecting a guy like Joe Biden and bringing back his cohorts of Democrats uh, into power. They're already reckless enough as it is. You can imagine how emboldened they would be. Forget about what Trump would be with the second term in office. I can't imagine how bad for the country the Democrats would be if they had another opportunity.
So Rico or Steph, what do you think? Steph, go ahead, sweetheart.
Well, to respond to what you said, Don, I think it's a stark contrast in a politician when you can tell that they actually care about their country and that they actually, are a patriot that doesn't want to sell out, the country. And it seems as if, you know, that underlining, like Trump has always been America first, type vibe and has always been, a builder in our society. Whereas in the Democrat side, and all of candidates that I have seen, it really just seems like they don't care about America. They don't care about the fundamentals of what makes America great, and they want it to be a socialist craziness. Keep America great, yes. And so, um, just to kind of comment on what you said in regards to Trump and like, how we like him, whether or not, at least he cares and wants to, America to be better compared to anybody else. You can tell.
Rico,
Yeah,
what about you, buddy?
Well, it's pretty simple. When you look at Donald Trump, you may hate him for his bravado. You may hate him for his mean remarks. You may think he's a shisty businessman, but he gives you the feeling that he would hug the stars and the stripes. He doesn't he doesn't
Okay.
give off the vibe that he hates America. It's quite the contrary. He gives off the vibe that he loves America.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at Biden, you question it. And just that question alone is enough for people to go to Trump. Just enough for people to go, does this guy really have America's best interest in mind? Does he really care about America? As opposed to this guy who's flipping burgers and always wears red, white, and blue and is shaking the hands of police and army. And everywhere he goes, people like him. Like, love him or hate him, he's always got his fans. And I've never heard him really blast America as it needs to change in its entirety. It's more of we need to get back to where we were again, make America great again. It's not let's rewrite the history books, let's change everything. All this stuff is they're selling him as Hitler and this despotic dictator and all this stuff. It's all shenanigans. Like you look at the two
And
guys,
despite.
yeah, it's subterfuge. It's media sound bites. They call him Hitler. Everybody's a racist, and the border's closed. So, and people are done buying it.
And then
They had their time. You know, Democrats had their time with this experiment, and the foolish Democrats allowed these lunatic libs to get in charge. And I harp on my sound minded Democrat friends for allowing these media pundits to get in front of the camera and spout the lies that they do. The politicians for trying to push through the stuff that they do. So, they're in a bed of their own making. And to Don Juan's point, uh, they're really fractured right now. And
Mm-hmm. Big
Steph's
time.
point, Trump speaks the language of a lot of people. Most
Mm.
people aren't uptight, purple haired, nose ringed, always offended at everybody types. Most people can joke. Most people can say things in jest. Facts.
Can can I ask you guys a question, in particularly you, Stephanie, because of all of
fine.
us, you're the only one I know that has a piercing. You have one on your nostril. I get into it.
I don't have it in.
I get
Chill out.
into it. I know you don't have it in there now. I get into an elevator with a colleague of mine last week on the Hill. Young lady's in there. She's got a little handful of chicken wings, and I'm joking with her, going, can I hold those for you?" And she's laughing. Right? She laughs. I'm sure she's a very nice young lady. She laughs, bro. She has Rico. She's got a goddamn piercing on her upper gum.
What?
Why? Why? I want to hear from the woman first, and I want to hear from the younger dude
Right
who's
here?
hip to that subculture. Yes, yeah, inside her lip, above her teeth. Why? Why?
I can tell you why.
She likes to fiddle with it. I don't know. She's
Rico?
bored.
She's a hipster and it's a new trend. Clearly, she saw the new Marvels movie. What a giant pile of crap that was.
Yeah, but there you
And what?
go. Film imitating culture, or art imitating culture,
The villain in that
influencing.
had that same piercing, and you're starting to see him pop up. It's like a little ball right there.
I had no idea. See, I
It's
didn't watch that.
following trends. Now, I will say this about the Marvels movie is I do like this Miss Marvel character, the Indian girl that they brought in. She's kind of more lighthearted. Uh, she's funny. She kind of brings a little levity to it. But the rest of the crap that they were trying to shove down, I mean, it was borderline unwatchable.
So now I have another question to dig a little deeper. Was the character in the Marvel movie black or another race?
What do you mean? That Marvels. So there's three of them, and I'm
No,
four.
the one you just described that said she got it from the Marvel movie because a
Why don't
character
you
had one of those.
why don't you take a guess of what the villain
I'm
was?
not going to guess. I'm asking you a legitimate question. Seriously.
Makes me weird, feel weird.
It's a um she was, I'm assuming, African American, a mixed African American, kind of that could be anything. We don't
Okay.
know that new brand. Female, and it's a female movie, so obviously everybody in there is going to be female, and most of the guys
Yeah.
going to be dopes, and that's just what it is. I mean, minus Nick Fury, but you had the uh you had the new Miss Marvel. Well, you had the Miss Marvel, who's a younger uh, Indian girl,
Yeah.
who's now going around the Marvel universe to enlist a bunch of other young female
Okay.
superheroes.
Okay. Let's not go down that rabbit hole too far. The reason I asked the question is this young lady in the elevator is black. So that means that it actually penetrated through a subculture into other aspects of our culture, and she identified with it. So it was almost a
Interesting.
rhetorical question, is my point.
It was
But
a
I had just
rhetorical
never seen that
question that
before.
you asked me was a real question. Come on,
Eh,
buddy.
kind
That's
of.
a little bit
I'm a
much of you.
politician. What the fuck? Are you kidding me? Come on, Rick. You know me. Jesus Christ. I'm not gonna ask a question if I don't have a fucking answer for it already. I'm a politician.
Well, that doesn't sound like you.
Look at Don Juan. He's like, yeah, I like Mark,
Yeah.
but yeah, he's a fucking politician. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I just
We
I
still
thought
love
it was
you.
just so interesting. I'm like, I look,
Glad you knew the
I turned to
answer,
my
Rico.
colleague. I go, did you fucking see that? He goes,
You
yeah,
get that
I saw it. I was like, what the fuck? And we walked out of the elevator. I'm like, oh my god. But
Yeah,
it came
it's
from
weird,
somewhere,
man.
and
Hey,
you just answered.
it's just like these, gauged ears, which is a
Oh, God.
subculture, and then, we could keep the conversation, like even like the tongue, weird stuff.
Weird.
Yep.
The cute nose ring, the dot that you have, that
Thank you.
is it's about as classy of a piercing as you can have. It's very when you see that, guys like it. Okay, it's not
Thank
a
you.
giant sign on your head that says "fuck off."
Daddy
Okay?
hates me.
Yeah. When you have the bull ring mixed with the eye
Hey, I
ring,
could get a bull ring.
you could, and you'd be perfectly fine for it. This is a
Yeah,
standard
and you'll never be on
judging a
this
book
show
by
ever
its
again.
cover. Like, and by no means does this mean these are who the
I'll get
people are,
It'll be like a little clip.
but it is indicative of their personality. Like, it's a little more hard edged. The bull ring is a hard edged move. It's not done by
Well,
sorority girls or softies. Like, you're not going to see
right.
your standard church going, muffin baking, 20-something-year-old blonde with the bull ring. You're going to see your tattooed
You never know.
dark hair with another color stripe in it.
Quasi dyke.
Yes.
Right.
Your words, not mine. But
Dykes
yes.
and dogs. Hey, what can I tell you?
Woof.
Nice
Well,
flannel
what's
shirt you got on there,
interesting?
Sally.
Have you seen any Sally? The in the wild, animals, their colors exude their toxicity, right? And so I guess I'm a little, I kind of went down that route. So
Yeah, but you're doing that for a different reason. Why don't you tell everybody?
yeah,
real quick?
mine was a different
We'll get out of
reason.
these rabbit holes, but yeah, but you're doing that for a different reason, which is very good.
Oh yes, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, she's doing that as tribute to her aunt who is
Yeah.
is ill right now. So and a hairdresser.
Yeah, it's a little
So
different.
to the politics of the speech last night. I mean, again, my perspective, and I was batting away comments from colleagues in chat groups and shit last night as well, and even this morning when they were going down massive rabbit holes. It was a campaign speech, not a State of the Union speech. It meandered. It checked off the boxes. It made sure that it addressed certain challenges he has, while at the same time making sure he told Republicans, "Go fuck yourself. I don't need you. We'll do exactly to you what we did last year." Because today they're finishing half of the appropriation bills. 2 weeks from today, they'll finish the other half of last year's uh, fiscal year that started October 1st of 2023. And we'll do the same thing for the next 8 months and give you the Heisman. To my question back to Don Juan a little bit ago, I don't believe the American public are going to stand for it. We will end up kicking this guy out of office because their gambit of Trump evil, MAGA evil, Republicans evil based on abortion or some stupid bill that was a foreign aid package for Ukraine is people aren't going to give a shit about it. They don't care. Not when gas is 4.50 a gallon by this summer, because that's where we're headed. So that's kind of my assessment. Each one of you guys chime in. Tell me what you thought of what you saw, what you didn't see, but you've seen memes and all that crap.
Well, from what I saw, and again, it was limited. It was typical Biden, typical Democrats. I do think, again, if Republicans are expecting the Democrats and Biden to just roll over because he's unpopular and everything else, I think they're missing the point. I was never a good or even great athlete in high school or college, but I love competing. And the idea that you want something that I want tells me, A, I need to be prepared, I need to have a game plan, and I need to execute the plan. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
Republicans need to look at this, not like this, that Joe Biden's on his last legs, because my attitude about that is if he's down, then you kick him and you keep him down. And that's rhetorical, meaning that, you give speeches to people, not to diminish Joe Biden, just to show him and and the Democrats for what they are, and then in effect tell them, look, we have a better plan. We're gonna stabilize things in this country. We're going to put criminals in jail. We're going to grow the economy, and we're going to keep people from crossing our borders and destabilizing our society. Simple as that. The Democrats can say anything to the
Mm-hmm.
counter, but for the average working person, that not only resonates, it's like it hits home. They know, hey, wait a minute, I want to be able to work, have a job, live in a decent house, and in a neighborhood where I'm not worried about being shot at every other day. That's what they want. And clearly, the
Mm-hmm.
Democrats and all their rogue prosecutors have no interest in giving that to them. The Republicans need to step in the breach and say, this, we know what America wants. And this is what we're going
Yep.
to do in order to make that happen. So, again, like I said, I'll watch the rhetoric,
Ricky,
but we'll see.
Ricky, what do you think, man?
Uh-oh.
Can't hear you, bro. Steph, what do you think?
Well, I just it's a nursing home. We have a nursing home in the office, and yet people are just delusionally covering it up and acting like everything's fine. And American people are sick of it. I'm sick of being told how I feel about my country. I'm sick of being told, oh, we'll do better. Oh, this is what we need to do to fix it. I need to see actual action. I just see a bunch of talk, and the Democrats just have to um, get behind the idea that they need to get or support the removal of Joe Biden. And if we have to wait until the end of this year, but it's really pathetic, and it's a laughing stock for the American people to have this person as our leader right now. And when in the history of our existence have we been so has it been so bad? Like,
Never.
how bad does it have to
Yeah.
get?
It's never been this bad, and it's a complete joke. To think that we have a president who is so old and incapable that he cannot be convicted of a crime, and yet somehow he is able to hold the highest position in the free world. That is insane. And Americans are fed up with it. And the Republicans did a brilliant thing recently. So, the IVF ruling that came down in Alabama
Mm-hmm.
pissed people off. Trump
Hmm.
came out right away, spoke against it. I don't agree with that. I think we should be encouraging people to have families.
Mm-hmm.
What happened? Alabama codifies, making it legal, making it accessible for people to have.
Yep.
Policy. They showed a quick ability to flip the script,
Mm-hmm.
work with people, compromise, and get policy done that the people wanted done. And they showed it front and center. Boom. Now, of course, last night, you're going to have Biden talk about how it happened and how they're going to take away everybody else's rights and Roe v. Wade and blah, 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 blah. And most people that don't pay attention will have their head in the muds and not know that, hey, they got this thing fixed. Now, yes, it came about not a great look, but the fact that they could
Yep.
acknowledge the mistake and fix it is a plus.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what we want. We
That's what
want
we
to
need.
be able to
Yep.
acknowledge the mistakes and fix the
America.
problem, not
Yeah.
pretend the problems don't exist and
Yeah.
that we have the answers for future problems
Excuse
that
me.
haven't even come about yet, but we're
Yeah, the
going
state.
to create to fix.
Yeah, the state. Bravo on that point. The state senate fixed that literally less than 48 hours ago, and Governor Ivey signed off on it. I mean, bang, done. I literally picked up my phone yesterday morning and went, "Oh, cool, they got that done." Right, from the day before, so on Wednesday, right?
And you didn't
And
see
they
that
signed it.
breaking any headlines over on CNN or
No,
MSNBC or any of those
no,
other
of course
places.
not. Of course not. And so Biden is talking in the rearview mirror again about something that has already gone well past him. And
He
to
probably
that
thinks it's
point,
2
I
weeks
also want to,
ago.
pardon
He's
me.
that old. He probably thinks it's 2 weeks ago. He
Well,
probably
you know what
thought
I
he was up
pointed
there
out,
last
and
night doing a rehearsal.
well, you know what I pointed out, you guys, and Don Juan. I don't know. I don't think you follow me online, but Mick Jagger and Joe Biden are the same age. One's ready for a
Yep.
nap, and the other one's ready for their next gig. Okay, so it has to do with cognition and those skills. But what I also want to point out is in Portland, the District of Columbia, and in San Francisco, they've done a complete 180 on criminal justice
Imagine
reform,
that.
and moved back to where it should have been pre 2019, in some cases pre 2017. So they're recognizing that these emotive policies that have no basis in reality, from harm reduction and decriminalizing narcotics to defund the police, is not working. All in time for what, Rick? In 8 months? What do we have going?
An election.
Oh, we saved the day.
Right.
Yep.
So,
Coming to save the
The
day.
right. So
irony
profiles in
of
courage.
last night. The irony of the
Yeah.
Democrats cheering fix it when talking about the border. We've been saying
The
that for
border. Yeah.
3 years. The nerve of those people to stand up and cheer, fix it to the people who have been trying to fix it is that was probably the most frustrating moment for me last night. And you are right. They are starting to turn around because the social
Yeah.
experiment is done. It's failed. Newsflash,
Yeah.
it never was going to work. Now we have the numbers.
No.
Let's just cut it out and get
No.
back to the basics.
So what do I always say, you guys, about politicians? That they will run away from or drop like third period French anything, any issue that causes them to lose power. And that is exactly what they're doing here. I mean, this resolution, which will be on the floor tomorrow, on Monday, we drafted this with the Homeland Security Committee, and it is literally laying out how Biden and Mayorkas have failed the country on immigration. This language right here is going back in the fiscal 25 appropriation bill to make sure that they have enough detention beds. They prioritize and use all of them at DHS, and they put every single migrant on GPS monitoring for the duration of their immigration status in the country as a requirement, right? And that will allow us to know where future Jose Ibarras are, so that we don't end up with more Lake and Rileys. It is that simple. And that program my client has worked on is 20 years old. I got 20 years of data and digital breadcrumbs that show me exactly where these people are, who complies and who doesn't. We have a 5.8% absconder rate. I don't mean to bore you guys with this, but that means that 99% of the people that don't abscond, 94.2%, show up for their court appearance, show up for their hearing of either removal, no, we're not giving you asylum status, or yes, we are, here's your green card. So it keeps them compliant with the law, and you also keep communities and individuals safe. And that's the bottom line. That it is really simple. There's no more difficult than that.
Keep it
So
simple, stupid.
100%. Knights in Satan's service. Did you ever see that movie,
Yes,
Detroit Rock City? It's so good.
it's a
It's
good
so
one.
good. Steph, I know
Underrated.
I know. Oh, totally underrated. I know Don Juan's seen it. Steph, have you ever seen
Yeah.
Detroit Rock City?
Maybe
Oh God.
doesn't spark a. I'm worst when it comes to remembering what I've seen.
Well, you were in your like ballet ice skating days, so you probably didn't see it. You never know,
Never know.
right? What can I tell you?
She was more of a cutting edge girl.
So some of the best cut. That's such a good movie, though. It's
I'm
such
gonna
a good
write that
movie.
down.
That was
You're
good.
welcome.
So some of the best memes got generated last night. Did you guys see any of those at all?
Negative.
Mm-mm.
Oh
I
God,
haven't been on
Mm.
they
social
were
media that
freaking.
much. I've been busy.
Oh, dude, they were hilarious. Absolutely freaking hilarious. I even put one together because it's State of the Union addresses. It's like State of the Union address responses anytime, and I just put that up there. The melting face Nazi
Mm.
from Indiana Jones
And the Jones.
and Raiders of the Lost Ark, because it's true. I mean, I love Katie Britt, but she was like gasping a lot.
Mm.
I did like a lot of the contrasts. My wife, on the other hand, loved it, and I asked Stephanie and Rico to look at it. Stephanie, you had a different point of view on it, which you texted me on. Share a little bit of that with us and why, as a woman, but also your reaction.
Well, when I was listening to how she was talking, it felt like a chalkboard. You know, the nails on a chalkboard with how she was talking. Like she's trying to be relatable, and she's trying to slow. Like I understand, being a politician, you have to be relatable. You're trying to slow down your speech because majority of the people that they follow slow speech. But like, she was, telling me what my problems are, and I didn't like it. I was like, who are you to tell me like what I'm dealing with and what I'm suffering? Yes, all these points, but it just didn't come across as a very strong, just very strong. It just was like telling me a story and,
So not
oh, woe is
genuine,
me kind
not
of thing.
relatable.
That's the vibe.
So not
But, her
genuine and not
content was
relatable. Darn it.
Yeah,
So
I, I s-
not genuine and not relatable. Can you? I don't know if
what
you could
happened.
hear that.
yeah, I heard it.
Yeah, it just seemed as if it was just she's in her own little world, but she's telling us what her problems are. I didn't like it in
Rick,
that regards.
what do you think, bro? Because you got that Cheshire grin on your face, dude.
Well, I'm gonna let Don Juan hop in because I could hear him chomping at the bit for this. I've got my own
Well,
take, but go ahead, Don.
it was unexpected because I've seen her on television before, and I expect, okay, you're going to get a decent contrast. Younger woman, older. Well, Biden. Don't get any more complicated than that. But I was disappointed, and again, I think, unfortunately, I think the Republicans and their response, and Katie Britt in particular, were just trying to be too cute by half. There are issues that needed to be hammered that Republicans, and oh, by the way, most Americans would get, but it was too thematic. They had her kitchen in the background. It's like, you know what? I really just tell me what it is. Tell me where Biden's screwing up, and tell me how you and the Republicans are going to fix it. Trying to do this TV playoff one against the other, I just think it fell flat. I really expected her to be a firebrand. Maybe not to like the Marjorie Taylor Greene type of firebrand, but enough where it was like, okay, she was
Yeah,
smiling too much. Like,
America.
never,
Yeah, she was smiling.
yeah,
Oh,
it's like she needs to pound the table and say, look, we have these problems in this country. The Democrats are doing nothing to stop it. We're going to fix it. Vote for us. Done. Period. But instead, we got this. And again, I'm sure it's her personality, but wow, you gotta show me some real passion and
there
not
was
this,
nothing.
kindly sort of. Well, let me just tell you how me and my husband do things. Like I don't really want
It
to
felt
know.
like an infomercial. That's what it
Yeah,
felt like.
exactly. Yep, that's it.
That's what it was.
Ricky, what do you think, bro? Because I'll give you my assessment later, but that's not that big of a deal because I'm biased.
Yes, I would imagine, especially if your wife liked it.
No, 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 no. Mostly because that's what I do for a living, so I just kind of have to cut that out of my thought process and go, okay, let me junk the rest of this shit. And I would rather have read it on paper, but you go because you guys are in the real world. I'm not.
Well, I looked at the optics of it. Okay, you pick a woman, younger woman, mom, wife, put her in a kitchen. She sounded like a scolding mom. Like she had her moments where she was really sweet and kind, and she had her moments where she was scolding. And for what it was, I mean, optics wise, I don't know if I don't know how a Marjorie Taylor Greene firebrand would have sold there. For the MAGA, yeah, absolutely. But
Yeah, that
they're
much.
the Republican Party is in a mode of trying to pluck the moderate Democrats and independents. So they don't want to give that hard edge MAGA brand any more breathing room. So I think that for what they were trying to do, they accomplished the goal. Um, Speeches are speeches to me. They're written months in advance. I know what they are, so it's in one ear out the other for me. It's all talking points. It didn't need to be 30 minutes.
Hmm.
They could have attacked everything they needed to in 20. But if I was running it, I would have kept it under 20. I would have pointed out the IVF thing, some of the migrant crime, some of the global issues going on right now, and how we need to strengthen that, and then the economy. And that's it. She didn't talk about Trump. I think that was a good thing because once again, they're trying to get independence. Now, this was a sales pitch for Republicans, not for Trump, but for Republicans. And that's what it came off as last night. They were
All
trying
right.
to take people from the other base into their base.
All right, fair enough. So for
Fair
me,
enough.
real quick, because what I had to say about this is de minimis. For me, I was like, uh huh. Literally, that was my reaction. I was like, uh huh, yeah, I got that. It wasn't Bobby Jindal looking like a scared, overly made up dude under a staircase. Number one, and Bobby's a friend of mine, but he looked like shit 12 years ago. It wasn't Marco Rubio going like that, and I love Marco Rubio for a lot of reasons. The gasping for air and cutesiness, I didn't care for. The contrast she was drawing were overshadowed because of
Persona.
the central casting aspect of
Hmm.
it:
Mhm.
kitchen, blouse, cross thing, right?
Girl next door.
Right, 100%. Um, it wasn't about male voters. It was about female voters because Nikki Haley grabbed a whole basket full of them from the South and elsewhere. So my wife, being from the Midwest, being an intelligent individual, listened, liked it, filtered out the semi cringe stuff that we might look at. A couple of colleagues of mine in a private group were like, "Oh my god, it's cringe. Oh my god, it's this." I'm like, "Guys, you're missing it. Okay, this is an address to women." Stephanie's point of view, because what she texted me was, "Oh my god, this is horrible." Right? Okay, I accept that. I'm like, got it. So let me note that down. Girl from Western State in Colorado that lives in Texas thinks it sucks. Woman from Western State, woman from Midwest likes it and went, she's all right. She's an up and comer, that kind of thing. That was it. And if you build on that over the next 8 months versus chips, Snickers, abortion, raising taxes, it's all the other, pedantic shit that's coming out. I mean, you know what the best line of the evening was that you never heard unless you saw it afterwards? It was from Marco Rubio, who said, who was asked, what about Israel and Gaza and the two-state solution? And Marco Rubio goes, I know what his two-state solution is. It's Michigan and Minnesota.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Exactly, Rick. Yeah, dude. Yeah, you guys. And I mean, he got delayed 20 minutes because the Secret Service couldn't clear Pennsylvania Avenue because you had a bunch of Gaza freakazoids sitting there, right? And you saw the numbers that he lost by in like 7 states that went none of the above, right? Michigan, he got hammered in Michigan by 30 points in the primary. Ouch. Ouch.
Why,
Anyway.
if the Republicans were smart, they'd listen to me and they would start the campaign now for Dovo. If they were just smart enough, they would ensure their victory in November. Dovo, don't vote, because there is a whole lot of people over there that don't want to vote. That's why they're splintered. And you got to keep pushing that. You've got to keep selling that to them. That Biden is
Drill down on that a little bit more.
So my thought process is there is a young demographic out there that is upset. They don't know politics well enough. They don't like the government, and you have the campus types. You've got the people who are on Reddit. Basically, there is a large population of voters right now that are so entrenched in the Free Palestine, Free Hamas movement that they are getting support from the Jayapals of the world, the AOCs. They're getting support from politicians to hold the Democrats hostage. Republicans need to lean into that and be like, okay, let's help you do that, because what they don't realize is, this being those uncommitted, so to say, is that their uncommitted vote isn't going to do anything but give the other people power. They're never going to vote for Trump. Ever, 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 ever. Their best chance is to get them to not vote. And you make it a TikTok campaign. Don't vote. You get kids dancing and saying Dovo, Dovo, hashtag Dovo. You put Dovo on your sneakers. You put Dovo on a t-shirt. Hashtag Dovo. Don't vote. And it will sell. It will trend. And it will trend with the youth.
Well, let's trend it.
Pay me the money. I'll get it trending.
Let's trend it right here on No Filter Network.
And say,
get it going.
Hey, this kid's brilliant. And he's got an idea that's going to take it home for us. Here's a pile of cash for him. Let him run loose.
So here's why I agree with that. Yesterday, the phone lines on Capitol Hill were jammed with the 170 million TikTok users. I mean, we're talking elementary school children. We're calling in with scripts from TikTok like the Chinese illegal aliens get when they try to cross our southern border, also on TikTok, that said, call this number. He's your congressman. Say this, etc. And they were jamming up phone lines because 50-0 on the Energy and Commerce Committee, they voted in favor of banning TikTok and requiring it to separate from the Chinese Communist Party into a U.S. entity. That's what they're pushing it to do, which I ultimately think can happen. Do I think it will? I don't know. We'll see. But the bottom line is what Rick is talking about just happened in relation to that bill. So that is absolutely a powerful tool.
It's such a powerful tool, and Republicans are very late to this party, and they don't have to
They're not even
necessarily
invited,
go
bro.
the route of a Biden to where you bring influencers in to try to sell young people. But this is how you know that that audience that you're trying to target is going to be watching. You get these ads on the influencers like the Dylan Mulvaney's and those types that are going to be part of this social media team that Biden's building for his election branding. And you run it in those spaces. You run
Mm-hmm.
it to where those people will be seeing that. So you get a Dylan Mulvaney pro Biden speech or ad or video, and then you scroll up, and the next one is Dovo. Are you upset at your politicians for not doing this for you? Are you blah 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 blah? And then you show a bunch of a full diverse cast of young people doing some high school musical dance, and it boom done. It's that simple. You trend it and you send it.
Trend it and send it. What do you think about that, Stephanie?
Yeah. Hey, if anything, I could get on board and I'll help. But can you hear me? Does it work?
Yep.
If anything, I'll get behind that. My internet here is being fluky.
You're
You
fine.
know,
You're fine.
it seems very simple and to the point, and something that would be more strategic, because as of right now, like the uphill slope and how you get people on your side and trying to just convert to Republicans, like everyone's sick of, that's
Mhm.
a Democrat. They're sick of it. So just don't go vote. I get it. That's cool.
The Republican youth tends to vote with their family. So if
This is
they're
true.
raised Republican, they might go along with these videos, trend it, hashtag it, do whatever. But when it comes to ballot day, they're going to vote in the red. You're not going to lose that many young Republican votes, whereas you will lose a lot more young
Just don't
Democrat
vote.
votes.
Yep.
Like the gap is astronomical. So I
Yeah.
say this,
Brilliant.
any of you campaign managers or anybody at the RNC listening right now, your boy's ready to dial you in. Anything worth doing is worth doing for money.
So there's two other elements
Money.
you can add to you can add to fill that gap. One is the no labels movement, which actually has some money behind it. They're going to make some bullshit announcement later today. The other is RFK's 12-13% that he's garnering right at the moment. And you add that no labels together, and let's say RFK trends down 11% by election night, and no labels is 6. That's 17% of the available vote, notwithstanding those who don't vote, Dobo, that is going to pull away from one or both parties. You're starting to see, sadly, for the Democrats, that it's pulling away from them, right? So you look at the returns. Trump's getting that 96-97% of the Republican vote. Biden, instead of 81%, he's only getting about 83% of the voters that voted for him the last time. These are both categories of people that voted for him the previous time before. And so it's staying in that lower range for Biden. You add on that no labels Kennedy vote, 6, 7, 8% takes away from him, 5, 6% takes away from Trump. Ice cream eater's got a real problem on his hands that he's not going to be able to control. is not good for them. So they got to figure out something other than MAGA January 6th and whatnot. Oh, by the way, did you know that we live in the United States? We don't live in the Ukraine. I just wanted to put that out there.
Thanks for that.
You don't have to remind me.
Well, I would say
You know.
I agree with Rick in terms of strategies. I just think that and Republicans should be upfront about it and help fund these campaigns and so forth, just to get in the head of the Democrats, because they believe they're so clever, and, as we saw, or we've seen in California with Adam Schiff and his putting money into
Mm-hmm.
promoting Steve Garvey.
Steve Garvey, yeah.
And I don't think it's going to happen. It probably won't happen. I would love to see that turn around and backfire on Schiff, but it
No.
probably won't. It would be as
Nope.
glorious as seeing Trump win, because if there's any Democrat, I probably dislike Adam Schiff more than I dislike Joe Biden. He is so weaselly and just so corrupt and such a hypocrite and a liar, and anything else I can think of that's bad, that just to see him lose. But I will say one thing about it, and this is the one thing that's kind of an undercurrent in that race, is that all of a sudden you see a white male Democrat, in effect,
Mm-hmm.
disposing of one, a female Democrat, and two, a female black Democrat. Now, again,
Yep.
if you talk about depressing the vote, as Democrats love to talk about, I think it's going to have some effect. Now, again, in California, it really won't matter. But I think and Katie Porter spoke to it the other day when she ironically
Yep.
said the election was rigged, and Democrats just pounced. How dare you, use that word? We're trying to use that against Trump and Republicans. So, I thought that was interesting. But the reality is, I don't think that Joe Biden can possibly replicate the turnout that he was able to get in 2020. You
Oh,
had,
hell
it
no.
was in the wake of George Floyd and all that hysteria. I think a lot of young people that said, "Yeah, I'm going to go out." They didn't care with Joe Biden. It could have been, Santa Claus. They would have voted for anybody just to vent their frustrations. I don't think those that level of anger is there anymore. So that's why the Democrats are
People rem-
trying to find ways to keep them intrigued or on the line to vote for Democrats. I just don't think they'll turn out.
People remember their economic situation a hell of a lot more than they remember Trump being at the podium with the presidential seal in front of it.
I remember it.
Not as
And
much as you do being able to buy eggs for $2.50 instead
Well,
of
that-
$6.
It hurts for
Okay,
sure, but
that's all I'm
that day was pretty memorable.
Well, I mean,
Just
every
saying.
day. Every day
Yeah.
he was out there because he gave, over 300 press conferences. My
This is
point
true.
is people don't remember that as clearly as they remember, Jesus Christ, man, I had more money than that. I mean, $24 for a fucking Five Guys burger, fries, and a Coke? Are you kidding me, bro? Come on.
Really? Dang.
That's insane.
Over
That's
here in
insane. Rick, what are
Texas,
you
it's
gonna
not
say,
too
buddy?
bad.
Well, you take the disgruntled don't voters and some of the people who feel like they've been disenfranchised in terms of the Kamala stuff that Don Juan was saying is you take a clip from her last night cheering on the letting out people who got busted smoking marijuana. Then you cut to her numbers and her putting away a bunch of people for that same thing because newsflash, there's a lot of black people out there that don't like Kamala, that remember Kamala, the prosecutor. And they need
Bingo.
to be reminded of that. And you sell that to them in a package with Biden. I mean, there's so much low hanging fruit. It's almost too easy.
It is.
I really have to applaud, though. I think it was not the RNC, but a group affiliated with Trump that put out an ad that I saw a couple of days ago where they were showing some of Biden's low moments. And I think they had Kamala in the background just cackling. That's the kind of stuff,
Yes.
that you need to do. It's a little over the top, but it hammers home the point. And look, the Democrats already want to act as if they're so principled and that they're above it all and that they're going to, I do
Please.
recall, and this would have been 2012 perhaps. Remember when the Democrats ran that ad where they had a caricature of Paul Ryan pushing a grandma
Pushing the
over
old
the
lady
cliff.
over the
You
cliff.
know, using
Yep.
fighting the old argument on Social Security. So the Democrats are not holier than thou, not even close. So I think ads like this, I need to see more of that. There's no problem with mocking the obvious and making it
Oh,
and
you
hitting
will.
home that this guy is enfeebled,
Excuse me.
can't do the job, and his number two can't even think above anything beyond a Venn diagram. I just think that needs to be
She's a
every
moron.
single day.
So I got an easy one for you guys to kind of wrap things up. Mike Tyson is going to fight, what's his name? What do you think about that, Rico? Is it just pay per
Uh,
view and give me the money and a 58-year-old or what?
you know, Jake Paul is a bozo deluxe, former YouTuber and boxer. So if there was anybody that I'd want to see kick the shit out of him, it would be Mike Tyson. Um, but 19-year-old Mike Tyson, not 57-year-old Mike Tyson. But uh, it's it's worth watching. Like, love him or hate him, Jake Paul sells tickets. Like, somehow he has managed to brand himself as a fighter, as a boxer. Now, keep in mind, the only time he's ever boxed somebody that was actually a boxer, he lost, and that was to Tyson Fury's little brother.
Hmm.
Sorry, Jake. So it will be very interesting to see what he does against a GOAT that is a lot
Yeah.
older, a lot slower, and a lot weaker. But it is still Tyson, and of course, all of Tyson's fans, like myself, want nothing more than to see a quick Tyson 1 minute knockout of this clown.
100%. Yeah, count
And
me in.
people will
I'm in on
pay
that one.
in Netflix subscriptions to get it.
Mm.
It's smart of it being on Netflix. For him, it's a win-win. Like, neither of them really have anything to lose. Okay, Tyson's 57, so he loses. Oh well, he's already the GOAT. You take a payday, you move on. Paul, on the other hand, has everything to gain. If he loses, he
Mhm.
lost to the GOAT. If he wins, he gets some sort of he gets a little bit of credit. Okay, it's 57-year-old Mike Tyson, so he'll get a little bit of credit. But the fact that he's branded himself onto a major streaming platform is huge for him, and it's only going to keep the bucks rolling in. So, as much as I dislike the guy, he's taken his YouTube career and is turned into
Excuse me.
something of a real moneymaker.
Yeah, this is Billie Jean King and Bobby Riggs in
Yeah.
1976.
Yep.
Except you get to watch people beat the shit out of each other. You get to see blood instead of chalk. What can I tell you? What do you think, Stephanie? Because you're kind of in that realm of ass
Is it
kicking on the
is it bare
mat.
knuckle fighting?
No,
Oh, that'd be
No.
fun.
I haven't seen the advertisement yet.
It's boxing.
Just boxing. Oh, okay.
no, it's boxing.
I was like, ooh, it could be bare knuckle fighting. Well, I think it's really cool for Tyson to come back out, and honestly, like, I think if he agrees to a fight, he's still got it. So it'll
Well, he's
be
agreeing to a
fun.
I've known
payday,
Chief
but
for
it's
like
going to be
40
fun.
years ago. So, I mean, he's been training. You watch his videos, and he looks great. But that's obviously sharp cuts, and it takes a lot more to box than 30-second clips.
True.
Same with MMA. Anybody who's been on a mat knows that after 2 minutes, you are gassed.
You got to pace yourself.
Yep, facts.
I know that.
What do you think there, Don
I
Juan?
know you know that, Steph.
I do.
I heard about this just yesterday, and again, like everything else, I view it through the lens of everything I've seen. I mean, I saw, as a kid at least, you know, Clay Liston, Ali Frazier, so
Hmm.
it pains me a little bit that boxing has kind of diminished itself over the years. But
Mhm.
Yep.
It
I
still
do
makes a
look
lot of
at Mike.
money for the
Oh,
athletes.
absolutely, yeah. I do look at Mike Tyson, and this is complimentary. Like I look at Donald Trump. He's a disruptor. He's somebody that no matter what
Mm.
he's doing, you're gonna watch. It's as simple as that. So when I first saw this, I think, oh, no way. And then next thing I'm thinking, you know what? I need to reactivate my Netflix account. I gotta see whatever it is.
Yep.
It could be
Oh,
a train
snap.
wreck. It could be whatever. I'm watching,
It
so
worked.
I'm buying in. I'm in on it.
It worked.
But I am
So all
gravitating
of
more
us are
towards MMA.
watching. All of us are gonna watch, right?
Yep.
Deal. We
Oh,
can
there
have
you
a follow-up conversation afterwards.
Absolutely.
stream
So
it
this is
live
the
on here.
unification I was looking for. Go, Ricky. Go ahead, buddy.
I said we could stream it live on here.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that
Hmm.
could be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Okay,
I like it.
Mr. Techno, you get to do that. So we might have to do that. Do a play-by-play like Trump did to Biden's speech
There you
last
go.
night.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll be able to do sound, but we could. The only option would be to tape the fight, put it onto YouTube, and then play it on here. Otherwise, we do share screen and we can watch the fight, but there would be any sound.
Copyright.
Yep. But I only have two words for.
Sounds like
What
a
is
plan.
copyright? And then when we start making money, I'll worry about copyright.
Yeah.
But until then,
Money, money,
copyright
money.
of it.
That would be great. Money,
Yeah.
great.
They can't take 0 of 0.
Oh, the government could.
Rick gets a cease and desist letter. He's like, "Yeah, that's nice." Rip. Throws it in the trash. All right,
I'd
you guys
love
have
to
been
have
great.
a chat with them. I would envy a chat with some government folk, just to
With the
give them my
government
mind. Just to have a
folk.
little, like, what do you guys want to take from me? You want my chickens? What? You want my
Come
axe?
at me, bro.
You want my guns? What's going on? Let's have a little chat.
You want
How
free
can
eggs?
I fix you guys? How can I help you today?
Well, they just want you to
Make
pay
my
'em.
day.
That's all they want.
Yes.
They
Yes.
just want
I'm
you to
sure
pay
that
them, dude.
we are a high target of
Excuse me.
copyright infringement. They're like,
Mhm.
these guys are making money hand over fist. This Steph girl is the real deal. That Don Juan, they start bringing him on, and the numbers shoot through the roof. And these guys have the gall to rip a Tyson Jake Paul fight, or even clips off of YouTube. How dare they? Let's get them.
Get him.
Not
There
happy.
could still be that knock on the door, though. You just never know.
Hi. If
You
you're
never
listening,
know. Well, it just
Biden,
comes in an envelope, right?
yeah, I'll make quite a spectacle for them. Quite the spectacle.
It must be weird
Not
living down
do
in
it.
Tucson, right, Rick?
Wink.
Right?
Don't do it.
Well, listen, you guys have been great. Anybody have any parting thoughts at all before we go enjoy our weekend?
I want to wish Steph's family the best. I know you're going through
Mm.
something right now, and
Thank you.
you know you got our prayers and our love, and thanks for always coming 110. DW, obviously, we love having you on. The Godfather himself, and my
Mhm.
man Mark. Thank you for once again illuminating us from what is actually happening over there in Swampville, USA.
Killing it.
Drain the swamp.
Yeah, no shit. Hey, I want to show you guys something that will inform you of how I started thinking the way I started thinking. So I put these up the other day. There's the loser
I noticed.
herself, right?
Mhm.
Oh,
There's
boy.
my favorite satirical magazine cover from National Lampoon. Don remembers that.
Oh my
My
gosh.
boy over
Yes,
there.
I love
right?
it. That's sick.
The Clash, baby. Right?
Yes.
Little creativity.
And the
Little Dark Side of the
calling.
Moon.
London
Over
calling.
there. There you
Classic.
go.
I love
Right?
it.
It's the best. Listen, you guys are the best. You guys rule. I love you guys. We will all have a good weekend.
Love you
I will
guys.
see you next week on another episode of Read the Room. Peace out. And remember to vote, everybody in the audience. See you
Unless
guys.
you're a Democrat.
Absolutely.
Hashtag Dobo.
Don't vote Democrats.